Hello my loves, welcome to my channel, Taylor Fitness, Ash on the mat. Today I have a 30-minute beginners workout for you. You won't need any equipment, just yourself and your mat. So roll out your mat, we're going to start on bottoms. And we just want to sit nice and tall to start today. So I'm going to show you from side on. We're trying not to round the spine. We want to stack the spine, one vertebra on top of the other, feeling like we're lengthening through the crown of the head, drawing down through the shoulders. So we have the shoulders over the hips, the head on top of the neck. We're going to come back to forward facing. Once you're in that nice tall position, we're going to take a few breaths. In Pilates we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth or out through the lips, or depending what kind of day you've had, you can sigh out that breath if you prefer. The breathing in through nose and out through mouth to cleanse the airways. So breathing in and breathing out, and you might find that the shoulders want to rise and fall a little as you breathe. We try and keep the shoulders down, keeping the chin above the shoulders. Let's just take one more breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then from here, I'm going to get you to bring your hands to your ribs. So in Pilates we do what's known as lateral breathing. When you breathe in, you want to feel your ribs expanding into your hands out to the side. And then as you breathe out, you kind of what we call knitting the ribs together, also known as your rib to tip connection. So when we breathe out, we want to imagine that we're drawing the ribs down towards the hips. So it's a case of breathing into the side of the ribs, side of the lungs, so that we don't feel this kind of popping, this flaring in the rib cage. Let's take a couple more breaths here. On the inhale, ribs expanding into the hands. And on the exhale, drawing the rib cage down towards the hips. Let's just take two more breaths, breathing in and out. One more breath in through nose and out through the mouth. Okay, we're going to start then today with just a couple of stretches here. So I'm going to bring the hands out, so we've got the fingertips about in line with the hips there, nice lifted chest, still with that tall spine. We inhale, extend one arm towards the ceiling, and then exhaling into our side stretch. Breathing in as we raise the other arm, and then breathing out as we draw that over. So we're reaching to fingertips, we're anchored down through the bottom, through the glutes, breathing in, and breathing out to draw over. We keep a little bit of distance between the shoulder and the head, space in the body. And we're just doing 4 more, breathing in to lift, breathing out to draw it over for 3, and 2. And one more time then, on an inhale we raise the arm, and with the exhale we draw that over. Okay, I'm going to get you to take a seat with the legs out in front, so we've got the feet flat on the floor. There's a little bit of distance between the feet. Think about the feet being on the inside of your hips here. We place the hands behind the legs, and then drawing down through the shoulders once again with that stacked spine, that tall spine. We take an inhale, a little lift of the chin, just enough to open up the throat. And with the exhale, we round back, creating the C curve in the spine. And again, breathing in, we restack the spine nice and tall, drawing down through the shoulders, and breathing out as we round back, starting to pull those abdominals in. So engaging the abs, we're drawing the navel towards the spine, breathing in to lift, and then breathing out, nice C curve in that spine. Just for 2 more. And this one you should feel that stretch in the upper back as you round the spine, drawing backwards. We're going to do that just one more time. Breathing in, we sit nice and tall, shoulders down, a little lift of the chin, and breathing out as we round it back. And then we're going to come back up from there for a moment, restack the spine, one vertebra on top of the other. Bringing the hands out in front, we take an inhale. We exhale, drawing back, keeping the hands off the legs this time, so the palms about over the knees. Let's inhale, coming up this time, we'll raise the arms. And then with the exhale, drawing back, pulling abdominals in, chin above the shoulders. 3 more. Inhale, we extend the arms up, nice tall spine. And the exhale to draw it back. Just for 2. In through the nose, lengthening through the crown of the head, out through the mouth as we draw that back. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in, we're nice and tall. And breathing out as we draw that back. Fab. From here, we're going to come back up, extend the legs out, a little push through the heels. If that's not overly comfortable, you could bend your knees a little here as well. So we're going to take the arms out to the side, and then we're twisting, again with that tall spine, and bringing that back to center. Twisting the other direction, and back to center. The chin staying above the shoulders, just to avoid those shruggy shoulders that come up. Let's do one more each way. Exhale, twist. Inhale back to middle, and one more time, exhale, twist. Inhale back to center. We're then going to bring the hands out in front, round the spine to draw forwards over the legs, and then restack the spine here. We round forwards, little reach towards the toes, feeling that stretch around the low back, and then coming back up nice and tall. So let's breathe out as we reach towards the toes, breathing in, restacking the spine. Breathing out as we reach. Again, we can have a bit of a bend in the knees if that feels more comfortable. Just two more. Breathing out to round forwards. And breathing in, chin above the shoulders one more time. Breathing out, we round. And breathing in, we sit nice and tall. Okay, we'll bring the feet back in from that. We're going to take a little shuffle forwards, just so you've got some mat behind you. Placing the hands behind the knees, we're going to go all the way to the floor. So we inhale, and then with the exhale, we start to lean like we did before. We're dipping the chin in, and we're trying to control this down, so we come back down, well, we come down to the mat, not back down, but we come down one vertebra at a time. Lower back, middle back, upper back, then head. And we're going to bring the feet in towards the bottom. So from here, we come into neutral spine position. If you're not familiar with neutral, your spine has that natural S-curve to it. So we're trying not to flatten the back in this position. We start in neutral where we have this little pocket of air between ourselves and the mat in the lower back area. So we're not arching the back off the floor, and we're not yet flattening the back. We might do a few exercises where we do flatten, but for now, that neutral spine. Another way of looking at this, if you're still not 100% sure, is the hips and the pelvis want to sit flat. So what I often say in classes is, if you bring your thumbs together, your fingers together, make this triangle shape, place your thumbs on your navel, your fingers towards your pubic bone. You'd want to be able to rest a cup of tea, cup of coffee, I'm English, so a cup of tea every time, right in the middle of that triangle. Okay, now once the hips and pelvis are flat and on the same plane, you will have a neutral spine. If you were to tilt the hips away from you, you'd spill your cup of tea or coffee all the way down towards your feet, but you'd also arch the back. And also if you tilted the hips towards you, you'd spill towards your face, your torso, and you'd get that lift in the buttocks. Okay, so neutral spine, neutral hips and pelvis. Once we're in that position, we draw the abdominals up and in from pelvic floor upwards. So I usually say it is like zipping up tight trousers, so you might like to imagine a corset that you're tightening. And we think about the ribs again, closing down through the ribs. So the ribs, we avoid that flared open one, and we try and draw the ribs down, knitting the ribs together, or creating a shorter distance, if you like, between the lowest two ribs and the pubic bone. Okay, once you're in this position, we're going to start to lift the arms. So let's extend the arms over. You might not draw all the way overhead if you've got a bit of tightness in the shoulders. We're then just drawing the hands back down to sides. So we're trying to do this maintaining a neutral spine position with a feeling of lifting and moving from the shoulders rather than the hands. So the hands are still, the wrists are neutral, which just means we're avoiding kind of flappy wrists there. Fingertips in line with wrists, wrists in line with arms. And the stomach muscles stay engaged to help prevent any lifting in the spine. Usually if we release the abs, we tend to get that lifted. Ribs lifted back, arching the back. So let's just do 3. Breathing in, stomach muscles in, spine neutral. Breathing out as we lower. Just for 2. Breathing in, we extend over. And breathing out, hands to sides. One more time. In neutral, we inhale overhead. And we exhale to return the hands back down. Okay, from here we're going to start to move the legs. So we'll lift one knee up above the hip bone, and then just tapping that foot down to the floor. Now we'll stay on this leg. So I'm on the left leg, I'm stabilising my right leg, stable around the hips and the pelvis as well. We avoid bringing the knee too far over the chest here, aiming to have that nice straight line from knee to hip, straight line down the femur. Now the movement, we're avoiding movement even around the knee, so that the movement comes from the hip, that hinge at the hip, to lift and lower. We're still pulling in stomach muscles. Now we're going to breathe with it as well. Breathing in as we lift. Breathing out as we lower. Breathing in, knee above the hip bone. Just trying to keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. Breathing out, we draw down. And let's try this with the arm. So left leg, left arm, we inhale up and over, and we exhale down. Now again, we're mindful of what the spine is doing, maintaining a neutral spine, keeping stomach muscles engaged, stabilizing as much as possible around the hips and the pelvis, pushing down through the back of the shoulder, and now we have both movements from the center of the body. So we move from the shoulder rather than the hand, and we move from the hip rather than the knee. Let's just do one more of those. Breathing in as we lift, and breathing out as we lower. Now let's switch this to right. So the right knee, we'll keep the arms by our sides. The right knee lifted, left leg stable, and then hinging at the hip to lower. Now if you're not overly sure what the hips are doing, you could hold the hips here, keep them stable. If you find that you're kind of crushing the fingers here by bringing the knee in, that's a sign that you would have come in a little bit too far. But we do aim to have that alignment with the knee above the hip bone there. Breathing in as we lift, and breathing out as we lower. We'll do just two more before we add the right arm to it. There's a little bit of distance still between the feet and the knees here. And this time taking the right arm with the right leg. Breathing in as we come up and over. Breathing out as we draw down. So this doesn't have to go all the way to the floor behind you. If you've got tightness in your shoulders, or if you are finding that the back is arching, again that would look like this, where the back lifts up and off the mat, then just don't take the arm quite so far, really trying to maintain that neutral position. One more time. Breathing in, we lift, and breathing out as we draw that back down. I'm going to stay with the feet on the floor from here. Stomach muscles still engaged, still pulling up and in. Abs zipped up from pelvic floor upwards. We're going to take the hands towards the ceiling, looking at the back of the hands, and we're about to lift head and shoulders. So I'm going to inhale. As we exhale, we'll lift off the mat, reaching towards the feet, keeping a space between chin and chest. We inhale to lower. So ideally, as we come up, we squeeze the belly with a bit of a stronger exhale, and the inhale to lower. There's a natural tightening that happens in the abdominals when we exhale, so that's just going to help to emphasize that. But also, when we breathe, if we were to do this breathing out through the nose with a forceful breath, lot of snot on your lovely gym top. So maybe don't do the exhale through the nose, but that's another good reason to breathe out through the mouth with these exercises. Exhaling off the floor and inhaling back. So working into those upper abdominals. The chin off the chest is really just to avoid straining the neck and the jaw. If we took the chin in, we feel strain in the neck, we feel strain in the jaw, and it also shortens the spine. So everything we do is to keep the distance between the vertebrae, to keep the spine lovely and long. Let's do that one more time. Breathing out as we lift, squeezing stomachs. Breathing in as we lower that back down to the mat. Now, if you found that that was a little bit too much on the neck still, you could bring the hands to support the head. The main thing here is that we don't want to pull on the head to lift. So we still maintain that space between chin and chest. Think about allowing the head to rest into the hands so that when you come up, you're feeling the weight of your head. You're not tempted to use the hands to pull. We do want the stomach muscles to be working, but that would be another option for you. Okay, we're going to come into a little pelvic tilt here, also known as imprinting. So we're imprinting the spine into the mat. We tilt the hips, the pelvis towards the face. That flattens down the spine. And then we release back to neutral with that little pocket of air between ourselves and the mat again. So tilting the pelvis towards the face, and then release it into neutral. Now we're about to come into a bridge with this one. So Pilates bridge where we lift the hips. I'm going to get you to peel your spine off your mat. Think about rolling up through that spine one vertebra at a time, lifting through the lower back, then the middle back, then maybe the upper back, but we want to stay with those abdominals drawing in. We're going to hold for a moment, take an inhale, and now as we exhale, we're lowering upper back, middle back, lower back, bottom. So we're articulating through the spine to lift and lower is the idea. We inhale, exhale, tilting the hips towards the face, peeling the spine away from the floor, pressing really firm into the feet. We squeeze the bottom, inhale. And as we exhale, we begin to lower, again, bit by bit through that spine, bone by bone. Just two more, inhale. Exhale, tilting the pelvis, curling up, articulating through the spine. Weight even, we do want to press evenly into the feet, inhale. And the exhale, two lower. And just one more time, then breathing in as we come back to neutral, little pocket of air. Breathing out, we tilt, press into the feet, holding at the top, looking up to ceiling or sky, inhale. And the exhale to lower that back down to the mat. Okay, we're going to bring the hands above the shoulders from there, and then we're going to lift the legs as well. So this next one, keeping the hands still, let's push the back of the shoulders into the floor, stomach muscles engaged. We inhale, tap one foot down. Exhale to draw that back. Now if this doesn't feel too great or it feels a little bit too much, you could always draw back to this, or go back to this option where we're drawing one knee above the hip bone. But either way, we want to stabilize the torso from the back of the shoulders to the back of the hips. If your legs are lifted, we push down the lower back a little bit more here. And then hinging at the hips, as we did before with those knee lifts. We breathe in, and then as we breathe out, always squeezing a little extra into those stomach muscles. So let's do one more at each leg. And then we'll add the arms to this one. It's going to be opposite arm to leg. As we inhale, one foot down, one arm over. Exhaling to draw back. And then the switch, inhale, one foot, one arm. Exhale it back. Now if that felt a little bit too much, you could do opposite arm to leg from feet on floor as well. With a neutral spine, stable from back of shoulders to back of hips. And again, movements that are from the center of the body. So the movement from the hips, the movement from the shoulders, weight even down the center of the body. There's always really something to think about. It's very mindful, it's Pilates, so we do need to concentrate to really get that mind to muscle connection, to keep that awareness of what our bodies are doing. Now whichever version you're doing here, let's do one more each way. Breathing in for the first movement, breathing out for the return, either version. Inhale, and then exhale, return. And we'll bring the knees into the chest from there, just to give the knees a little cuddle in. We'll take a moment just to rock a little on the spine. That should feel quite nice. Don't forget to breathe, no holding breath. I always give the feet a wiggle. My toes are very creaky. They do click and crack quite a bit, so apologies for that. But you can give the legs a little shake off as well if that feels good to do. Okay, we're going to come up off the mat from here, so we can either rock ourselves up to sit, if that's a bit of a struggle, roll over the shoulder, push into the hand, and come all the way up off that mat. And then we're going to come over onto all fours, onto hands and knees from here. Okay, so we have hands right beneath the shoulders, knees right beneath the hips, and we're pushing away from the mat, pressing through the palms. We're also pulling in the stomach muscles, so we have abs engaged once again. And then we're going to extend and lengthen back the left leg. Back goes the left leg. Now we take an inhale here, and as we exhale, we're going to bring the knee into the chest. Inhale, extend the leg back. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale to extend back. So once again, we think about drawing the rib cage in, stable shoulders, constant press through the hands. And there should be a nice long line from the crown of the head to the tailbone. We avoid lifting the chin and getting that creaky neck, forehead parallel to floor. Let's do two more, exhaling. Inhale it back one more time. And then extending that leg back, we're going to reach out the right arm, lift away from the mat. Now we're aiming to bring the right hand level with the right shoulder, the left foot level with the right hip. Big push through this left palm, breath flowing, always breathing, a bit of squeeze of the bottom here, really reaching as much as possible. Stomach muscles still drawing up and in. We'll take one more full breath. And let's bring that back in from there. Hand under shoulder, knee under hip. You might want to give that left wrist a little wiggle. So we're going to do the same for the right leg. We extend back through that right leg, ears above the shoulders, just so that we're not sinking down into the shoulder girdles. Stomach muscles in. We inhale. We exhale, knee comes in. We inhale to lengthen back. Or tap back, breathing out. And breathing in. So that constant press through the palms, tightening the abdominals as we exhale in. Inhale, tap back, just for 3. And 2. Looking towards the hands there. Again, that lovely long line from crown to tail. And let's try that extra little challenge, extending the left arm, lifting the right foot and the left arm here. Reaching as much as possible and breathe in. Little squeeze of the bottom, nice straight arm and leg for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then gently drawing that back in from there. Okay, we're going to come down to our fronts from here. So we'll make our way all the way down to that mat. And then we're going to bring the hands down to our sides, bringing the feet just a little distance apart here. So you can just make sure that you're not turning the heels out. Feet can have a little distance, heels not turning outwards or inwards, feeling the tops of the feet on the floor. Okay, so we're coming in with the dart. And with the dart, we're lifting, it's a back extension if you're familiar with those. We lift from the lower back. So we're going to take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're starting to lift from the lower back. We avoid lifting the chin because we still want to have the crown in line with the tailbone, that nice long spine. And if you think about a dart flying, it would want to be straight. We then draw back down to the mat from there. So breathing out as we lift away from the mat, lifting from the lower back, and then breathing in, forehead to floor rather than chin. So that's just going to help you stay aware of your spine being in line with your neck. If we came down chin first, it would mean that we had the chin lifted. Breathing out to lift. Breathing in to lower. Now we could have the palms on the floor and just pressing into the palms to assist that lift. That might feel a little easier. But still lifting from the lower back either way. Breathing out to lift. Breathing in, forehead to the mat. Just for 2 more. Breathing out, we lift. Breathing in, we lower. And one more time then, breathing out as we leave the mat. And breathing in as we lower that back down to the mat. And then let's bring the hands to sit either under the forehead, or we could just have them in front of the top of the head, the crown. And we're going to keep pulling stomach muscles in. This is just to really support your spine. We're lifting the legs this time. So same sort of breathing. We inhale first. We exhale as we lift, bringing the feet and the knees up. And we inhale as we lower. Now, really we want to avoid pushing off the toes for this one. So we don't tuck those toes under, tops of the feet on the floor, and the lift from the center of the body, lifting from the hips. Breathing into lower. Now let's just do 3. Breathing out as we lift, squeezing those glutes. Breathing in as we lower with that without releasing abs for 2. And one more time with that one. Breathing out as we lift. And then breathing in as we lower that back down to the floor. So 2 options, or a few options here. We're going to lift upper body and lower body. Now you can either bring the hands back down to your sides, palms to floor to help lift. You could bring the hands to here, so we've got the elbows round about in line with the shoulders. I'm going to give you 3 options today. So this is the option that I'm going to choose, but you can bring the hands down. And then when we lift, we could keep the hands on the floor, or we could bring the hands up with it as well. Forehead coming back to mat rather than the chin. So let's exhale as we lift, lifting from the lower back. And inhaling as we lower that back down. Breathing out as we lift. And the hands could stay on the floor there. We'll press into palms. Breathing in as we lower. Just a couple more. Breathing out to lift. Breathing in, forehead to the floor. One more time. Breathing out to lift. Nice long legs. And breathing in to lower. Now we're going to bring the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes, big push into the palms, and then a seat back on the heels. So this stretch is just to really release the spine, get a nice rounded spine. Should feel nice around the lower back after doing those exercises. And we're just breathing here for a moment. You could let the elbows come down, you could bring the forehead all the way down to the floor as well if that feels nice. And let's just take 3 more deep breaths here. 2. And last breath there, breathing in. And breathing that out. Okay, I'm going to bring you onto sides from here, so we'll take a little roll over and then coming down all the way down onto your side. So in this position, we're in a sort of fetal position. We do what's called stacking the hips, which is just essentially one hip above the other hip. We can lay on the arm, we can lay on the hand and the elbow as well. And we're going to extend out the top leg. And we're just going to start to circle here. So another movement that's from the hip, little circles. It's my big fluffy socks that I've got on. It's quite cold in the UK, in Leeds at the moment, so big chunky socks. And then a circle, if we keep the foot relaxed, we can really get that sense of circling from the centre of the body, from the hip. We do pull stomach muscles in, we try and stabilise the pelvis. And then we're just going to reverse that. So little circles round in the other direction. You might have seen, I've just wiggled that front foot forwards a little bit. That's for more stability really. If I was to bring that foot back, it's not quite as stable. I'm just going for another 3 in that direction, for 2, and 1. Fab. And then we'll bring that back in from there. We're going to flex the feet, push through the heels, and lifting this top leg up, doesn't have to be too high, and drawing back down from there. So with this one, we're maintaining this parallel, knee over knee, foot over foot, breathing in and out. And then we imagine as we're coming down that there's this resistance between the legs, like you're moving through water. Let's do 3, inhale up, exhale it down for 2, and one more time with that one, breathing in to lift, and breathing out to lower. And then I'm going to push off the mat and just do the same for the other side, bringing the feet to the other end of your mat, coming down. We'll start with those circles again. So into a little fetal position, and we can either rest the head on the hand or all the way down onto the arm. We extended out the top leg, checking that the hips are stacked one above the other, stomach muscles in, relaxing the foot on this lifted leg, and then just circling. So really circling around the hip joint. We go a little way in front of the hip bone, a little way behind the hip bone. We're breathing as we do this, just finding a rhythm with that breath. And anchoring down through the bottom leg. You could always hold the leg just to help stabilise there. And last couple in that direction. And then we're just switching that over. The slower we go, the more we should feel the weight of the leg. We're in no rush at all. Pilates is very controlled movements, very precise movements. And we breathe, always breathe in for 3, 2, and a 1. And we'll bring that in from there. Feet flexed, pushing through both heels, and then maintaining this parallel. Let's inhale as we lift, exhale as we lower. And again, that feeling like we're moving through water, like there's a resistance between the legs there as we come down, just to really engage the muscles that we're trying to work, the outer part of the glute, outer thigh. I feel this in hips as well. A little bit of everything for a bit of a taster of Pilates. If you are a complete beginner, it should get you right into the vibes of what it's all about. Inhale up and exhale down. We've got just 2 more of this one, breathing in And I'm breathing out, and one more time, then breathing in to lift. Breathing out to lower. Okay, we're going to come back to sitting from there, taking a seat on bottoms like we started. So we can sit with the legs extended out if sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable for you. And then let's just draw down through the shoulders. Like we started with that nice tall stacked spine, shoulders away from ears, lengthening through the crown of the head. And then we're just going to add a little twist here. So we'll go opposite arm to leg, take one hand to the ground behind you, twisting through that spine, looking towards that back shoulder, taking a deep breath here. And then drawing over to the other side. So the chest is lifted, the shoulders are down, spine nice and tall, breathing in. And breathing that out. And then final stretch today, we're going to raise the hands above the shoulders. We're drawing down over the legs. So this one you feel more in the glutes if the legs are crossed. If you've got the legs extended today, what I suggest doing is just bringing the soles of the feet together, taking a little reach there. You'll still feel a bit of stretch in your glutes, some release around the lower back area as well. And if we really just let that neck go, let the neck release and relax, so the weight of the head is helping to draw you a little closer to the floor. We're breathing, just taking a couple of extra breaths here. And last breath there. And whenever you're ready, you can walk the hands slowly back, restacking that spine once again, shoulders down. We're finishing with 3 breaths. We'll bring the hands out, breathing in as we raise the arms, breathing out as we release that for 2, breathing in, lifting, breathing out, releasing one more time, breathing in over shoulders, and breathing out to release. And thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your Beginners Pilates workout. Any suggestions, please do let me know. Please comment, like, subscribe, and I hope to see you again on the mat soon. Thank you. Bye.